got some real life drama. These are your stories. The first one is anonymous, which always means it's so juicy. My ex is still obsessed with me after 15 plus years, and it's beyond creepy. What did I just say? I'll call my ex Lawrence for this story, and I'm Tess. Buckle up, because this is a wild ride of teenage mistakes, obsession, and years of unresolved creepiness. Lawrence was my teenage sweetheart, if you can even call it that. We started dating when I was 14 and he was 15, and honestly, I only stuck with him because my family approved of him. He was the only guy that they would let me date. Crazy, I know. And because being single as a teen somehow made you a target for ridicule. I don't know why teenagers are weird. Looking back, I question the relationship constantly. He wasn't the brightest. I'm in no position to judge. And his actions were often questionable, but I convinced myself that it was love. I wanted to grow up fast and the idea of marriage seemed dreamy. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. We got engaged as teens. Whoa. Yes, I know. What was I thinking? And by 16, we were married. Is that even legal? Matt! I guess I'll go f myself. My grandparents and mom had their doubts, but I was determined. I was raised by an overbearing grandmother, and for some reason, she let me go through with this disaster. Maybe she thought it would teach me a lesson. If so, mission accomplished. We moved in together after the wedding, and that's when it really hit hard. We barely knew each other, and just turned out to be, well, extremely gross. I won't go into details, but let's just say I quickly realized that I'd made a colossal mistake. My grandmother urged me to wait it out, but by the time I was 18, I'd had enough. I left him and moved back in with my grandparents. This is when the crazy started. He began showing up at my house at night, knocking on my window like some bad rom-com reject. This went on for weeks until my papa would chase him off. When I started college, he'd wait for me in the parking lot, trying to talk to me. Again, my papa had to handle it. Eventually he stopped, and I thought, okay, maybe he's done. Oh, how wrong I was. He got a girlfriend, and they moved in together. That's when things got really weird. My mom and grandma noticed on Facebook that this girl started dressing like me. Oh my God. Same style, same platinum blonde hair. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, but nope. He brought her to my grandparents' house one day while I was at my uncle's. He left her there and came over to talk to me, complimenting me and acting like nothing was wrong. I was furious, not just for myself, but for her. Who does that? I told him off, but he just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. Fast forward, she got pregnant and I ran into them while out with my grandma. He had the audacity to call me a bombshell and gushed about how beautiful I was, right in front of his pregnant girlfriend. I went off on him again, telling him that she was way too good for him and that he needed to treat her right. She didn't say a word, but I could tell she was uncomfortable. After they broke up, she messaged me. Turns out he'd asked her to dress like me and bleach her hair. She warned me he was obsessed and told me to be careful. Creeped out? Absolutely. Girl, I would have already police report for stalking immediately. But I tried to move on. Over the years, I would get random messages from women asking if I was his wife because he told them that we were still married. He tried to get them to look like me too because they were dating. It was like a twisted pattern. He even tried to date my 16-year-old cousin when we were adults, which was beyond creepy. Thankfully, her mother shut that down fast. When I got a boyfriend, Lawrence took the creepiness to a whole new level. My boyfriend was at an employment agency, and Lawrence happened to be there too. He walked up to my then boyfriend and asked, "What's it like dating my wife?" My boyfriend was understandably weirded out and warned me that Lawrence was clearly unhinged. Then came the family reunion. Technically, Lawrence was sort of invited. Why? Not by me, of course, but because my cousin was friends with him. When my cousin mentioned he was going to the reunion, Lawrence invited himself, and my cousin, being too nice or maybe just oblivious, let it happen. I was furious but didn't want to cause a scene. I figured he'd stick with my cousin and leave me alone. Nope. At one point, I went behind my uncle's log cabin to get some space, and of course he followed me. Girl, you better stay out where you can be seen. He gonna kill you. He didn't say anything, just stood there staring. I ignored him and went back to the front where my toddler decided to crawl under the deck. As I was trying to get her out, he crawled under there too, saying, "Come here, little girl," like he was trying to help. I grabbed my daughter as fast as I could and got out from under the deck. He followed me, rambling about how he had a little girl now too. I kept my cool for the sake of the family, but in a low voice, I warned him to never try to touch my child again. I then went to talk to my cousin and asked why he brought Lawrence. My cousin apologized and said he didn't think Lawrence would act like that. He ended up driving Lawrence home, but the whole thing left me shaken. The final straw? Funerals. When my great pawpaw was dying, Lawrence showed up at my great mama's house with his fiance and stared at me the entire time. I avoided him, but it was unnerving. Then, when my great grandmother passed, he was at her funeral. I couldn't go because I got COVID, but of course heard about it. And recently, at my grandpa's funeral, the man who raised me and who could not even stand Lawrence, he showed up again with his wife. I kept my cool for my mama's sake, but it was beyond disrespectful. He even went up to my husband, who he knew from high school, to offer condolences. Like, what? I'm 32 now, and this has been going on for over half my life. I'm married, I have kids, I've moved on, but he's still lurking in the bathroom. The bathroom? The background. Probably in the bathroom too, though. I would not be surprised. Inserting himself into my life at the worst moments. I've thought about telling his wife, but I don't want to scare her off or make things worse. I know it's selfish. My family knows, but they're not big on confrontation, so they just keep the peace. I've tried to ignore it, but I'm so tired of it. What should I do? I feel like I've let this go on too long, but I don't have proof of his behavior anymore. Old messages are gone, and I've been focused on living my life. He doesn't come to my house anymore, but his presence at family events and funerals is beyond disrespectful. I just want it to stop. Sadly, it seems like a never-ending haunting of my stupid past. I feel like we gotta talk to the family. We gotta talk to the family about what's really going on, the severity of it, how uncomfortable you are. Man, he can't come around. He's not allowed. He's gotta know. Nope. You're not allowed to show up at anything ever again. Based on past behavior, I would have already been like, stalker. I watch a lot of true crime, so it could just be me, but I'm pretty sure that's the beginning of every documentary. I'm not helping. Don't come on here and ask for my advice, ever. All right, the next one is also anonymous. 2 years ago, I attended a community college about 45 minutes from where I live. My dad was a professor there, so I got free tuition. Oh, a dream. Which was amazing for me as a broke college student living on my own for the first time. So my dad would pick me up from my apartment every morning and drive us both to campus to save some gas money, again, because I was and I am very broke, and then drive me home every night when we were both done. The only issue was on Thursdays. He had a late class that ran until 10 p.m. and my late class ended at 8:30. My class was across campus from his office where we'd meet to go home, in and out of the way of the building, about a 5-minute walk. No big deal for me, even if the fact that it was dark and there was not a soul to be seen, it was just a little creepy at times. One night, a male classmate, we'll call him Jim, offered to give me a ride. This set off alarm bells because I never told anyone besides my professor in private that I walked to my dad's office. How did he know that I walked and where I was going? Oh, do we have another stalker story? I politely declined, saying the exercise was good for me, but Jim insisted that a pretty girl like me shouldn't be out at night alone. I told him there was no way I was getting in his car since I didn't know him and wasn't angling to get kidnapped. I didn't tell him the second part, of course, and I left. On my walk, girl, you just took that walk? I wouldn't even make that walk. I'd be like, Dad, yo, you gotta come pick me up. I'm staying right here until 10 o'clock. On my walk back, I got this weird, creepy feeling that someone was watching me. I looked around but didn't see anything at first, so I kept walking. Then I heard this soft crunching sound like tires on gravel from behind me. I was almost too afraid to look, but when I turned around, I saw the vague outline of a truck sitting on the grass about 30 feet behind me that wasn't there before. It was between two streetlights, so I couldn't make out much, but then I remembered that Jim drove a truck. I whipped around and started walking as fast as I could without running. Girl, I'd be gone. Olympic 100-meter sprint. Out of here. I kept glancing over my shoulder and the truck was always behind me, getting steadily closer. At one point, it was right behind me and I heard Jim calling my name and saying that he just wanted to do a pretty girl a favor and that I should reconsider his offer. Run, girl. I was shaking by this point and on the edge of panicking when another car pulled around the corner in front of me. It was my dad. His class ended early and he was coming to pick me up from class. I got into that car so fast, I swear I could have teleported, and I was so relieved to see him. I broke down crying immediately. He took me to get hot chocolate and helped me calm down. To this day, I'm still haunted by the idea of what could have happened to me if he hadn't come to get me that night and now carry both bear spray and a taser wherever I go. I don't blame you, girl. Not in this crazy world we live in. Trust no one. Grab a beverage of choice on a lighter note. Damn, these stories are like pretty intense today. Usually it's like, oh, my ex cheated, so I put fish in the curtain. Not today. Cheers. All right, next one is also anonymous. This isn't really a rant so much as a funny story that highlights why my ex-husband and I are still friends despite our marriage not working out, as he is a good person. We're just better apart than together. Back when we were still married though, he was heading home kind of late on a rainy night and saw a woman walking on the sidewalk. He's not generally the type to offer a ride to strangers, but she was on her own and the weather was bad, so he pulled over to check if she needed some help getting home. She accepted and got in the car. He started to drive, at which point she started to rub his leg and asked if she could do anything to thank him. Do him a favor, no charge. It was at this point that it hit him that he'd picked up a sex worker. He was like, oh, no thanks, I'm married and I was only trying to help. You don't need to do anything. She asked if he was sure, and he said yes. After dropping her off, he headed home and told me the story. He was actually kind of worried I would be mad or something about him picking up a random woman on the side of the road and being offered this favor, but I laughed hysterically and still do to this day when I think about it. And that is the story of when my ex-husband picked up a sex worker. Bless him. Bless him. You know, the thought is really what counts in this moment. And all he saw was a woman walking alone in the pouring rain. He's like, I got a dry car. Let me just give her a quick ride. And she was thinking that she could give him a quick ride. God, you know, if YouTube wasn't so censored, and I think we could have a lot of fun on here. My humor is not meant for YouTube, let me tell you. All right. Oh, wow. So we do have a name for this one. Brandy M from Idaho. Taking matters into my own hands because of entitled coworkers. You go, Glen Coco. A few years ago, I used to work at a large retail company on the overnight shift at the time. As many who have worked in retail probably know, inventory time is a big deal as it can determine whether we get a bonus or not, on top of having to do extra training if the shrinkage amount is really high. We had these devices that were used to do things like add or subtract items from inventory, print labels, keep track of what bins inventory was in, and so forth. Well, this one particular store, the department managers had talked the store manager into allowing them to store these devices in their lockers at the end of their shifts, which means no one else on any shift could use them except in one department that needed the device to assist customers. About 4 weeks prior to inventory, I asked the co-manager to have these devices left for us so that we can start getting the back rooms ready for inventory, which means getting labels in all the boxes and then the amount that is in each box. And if there is a row of the same item, to put the correct amount for all the items of what particular item on the label. Day shift wouldn't do this because they were always too busy. For the next 2 weeks, we were never left with any of these devices to get the back rooms completed. This will have been my 8th or 9th inventory, so I know that come inventory time, if the back rooms aren't done, it is always blamed on the overnight manager. So I spent my 2 days off, and bear in mind, I'm salaried, so I don't get paid for this time, at work getting the back stock room completed. This was about 20 extra hours of unpaid time. Bless your soul. I had come in early enough both shifts to be sure to get one of these devices before they were locked away in their lockers. My co-manager had seen me doing this when he came in the first morning, and he asked me why I was there since it was my night off. I told him that since my numerous requests to have the devices available for us hadn't been done, I was there to get the bins in order. I figured when I came back for my next shift after 2 unpaid nights that we would have some of these devices available for us to keep on any leftover stock that needed to be put away in the bins. I was wrong. When I came in and saw that there were none left for us, to say I was pissed was putting it lightly. All that time spent unpaid, and these department managers still think these devices should be kept to themselves. So I went to the HR office and got the locker binder. In this binder is the combination to all the padlocks on each locker. I also grabbed a flashlight and began going through every locker. Oh my God. That was assigned to the department manager. And if I saw one of the devices in the locker, I opened it and took out the device. Girl, are you gonna get fired? Luckily, the area had cameras, so it was easy to see what I took out of the locker. I found every device we had, put them in a shopping cart, and handed them out to each associate. Each one had a huge smile on their face and told me thanks. Around 6 a.m., I had the associates bring the devices back and put them in another shopping cart because the last hour of the shift is spent cleaning and zoning the aisle, meaning making all the products on the shelves look straight. Then I waited for the department managers to come in. They started trickling in around 6:45 a.m., and when they had seen the devices sitting in a shopping cart, well, based on the amount of loud voices booming around the cart and the stares I had thrown at me, you would have thought that someone had just taken their firstborn from them. Generally, what happens in the morning is the co-manager comes to the assistant's office. I get up and go walk the floor with him to see if there was anything I had missed or whatever. This morning, however, when he came to the office, I went to get up and he basically said, "Hold on, the store manager wants to talk to you first." I asked, "Am I in trouble?" He said, "Don't know, but I'll let you know." So I waited a bit until he came and got me and we started on our walk. I asked him if I was in trouble and pleaded my case about having asked for the devices for the last 2 weeks and got nothing. He said no, but he wasn't too happy with how I went about making my point. But he kind of understood my frustration. He added that if I decide to do this type of thing again, to at least warn him first. I had heard from some of the other assistant managers before I left that some of the department managers were really pissed and said I should be coached because how dare I go through their lockers. What they apparently didn't know was that the company policy actually states per SOPs that company equipment is not to be left in lockers after their work shift, and if it is, we have the authority to go through the company supplied lockers and find it. I left and expected to once again not have the devices available for us because I was sure the department managers would get their way. When I came in that night, every device was sitting in an office for us to use, and it stayed that way every night through inventory. The funny thing is, there was a song that was playing that morning when I had all the devices in a shopping cart, and it was such a fitting song that now whenever I hear it, I think of this event and smile and sometimes laugh. The song was Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks. Girl, I'm not gonna lie, I was worried. I thought you were gonna be fired. That's risky business, because that could have gone one or two ways. You know what I mean? You could have had a very different reaction and been in trouble, but you weren't. And in the end, it worked out in your favor. Next one is anonymous. Is it bad that I'm not sure whether I actually feel love for my boyfriend of more than a year now that he has started telling me he loves me? All right, so for context on the relationship with my ex, which I think might be the root cause of me feeling this way. I started going out with him when I was 18 and naive, first relationship ever. He was so perfect and loving, very affectionate, and the love I felt for him was extremely passionate. However, very quickly, there started to be a pattern of him talking to me less or ignoring me when he would be in a mood, and me obsessing and being very anxious over it. I'm not proud to admit it, but it did end up making me unconsciously resort to creating issues in order to get him to talk to me again, where I would perhaps cry and then we would be fine again. The more time went by, the more this pattern became strong and the worse it got. He would make me doubt my memory, telling me I was immature, and not block or put boundaries with some girl friends that would flirt with him. Somehow he kept telling me he loved me unconditionally, and yet I felt like he despised my personality and my way of thinking. But to make a long story short, it got so bad he would yell at me and I started hating myself. So I finally broke up with him, which was so difficult to do after 2.5 years. Now, on to my current boyfriend. I met him shortly after ending my previous relationship. He is amazing. Very down to earth, very smart, but also very emotionally intelligent. We somehow fit amazingly. It was incredibly easy from day one. It was always peaceful and quiet. However, he told me early on that it would take some time for him to feel love, if he even could. So it made me feel like I had to work a bit for his affection, like with my ex, and I fell in love after 4 months. I wanted him to love me too, even though he always showed me lots of affection from the start. 2 months ago, after 11 months together, he finally started telling me he loves me by himself. I was very happy. But somehow, some way, now that he tells me he loves me and I can actually tell he loves me, and yet I have found my feelings of love to be dimmer this past month. I'm not sure if it's just because I'm not used to being in a secure and loving relationship, or if somehow I don't feel love. The feeling I felt with my ex was so powerful, it was almost an obsession, which I know is not healthy, and yet I can't help but compare it to my now peaceful, quiet feelings of affection. I'm planning to let time heal me maybe, but I don't know what to do. I don't even know what advice to give. But if you're feeling any doubts of love and it's just like not there, I don't think you can force that, and I don't know if time would like create that for you. Let me know what you guys think. Next up is coming from Aunt Kiki. Have fun. If I'm in love with someone I can't be with, does it even matter if I'm single or dating someone else? 45 female in love with 43 male. We have known each other for over 20 years. We have dated, we have lived together, we have been in love, we have shared a dog and planned a future. When we broke up, we stayed very close and would still go out together and hang out alone, went on vacations together, etc. Sometimes over the years, we have had a friends with benefits situation, but he has made it very clear that we will never get back together. I have gone to therapy and I've tried taking distance from him, but my feelings will not die no matter what I do. I have accepted that if I have loved this man for 20 years, I will most likely keep on loving him no matter what I do. I have made peace with this and I've stayed single on purpose because it would never be fair to the next man I date, knowing he can't have my heart because someone else already owns it. Why can't you be together? I am not willing to end our friendship. That is a hard line, and I am not waiting for him to change his mind and come back. Our relationship was toxic, mostly because I am mentally ill. I have accepted this as a fact, and we can still have our very close friendship without my feelings getting in the way. We have been functioning like this for at least the past 10 years now. He is one of my very best friends, and he says the same of me. Right now, I am talking to another 43-year-old man who I have known for the same amount of time, because this man and my ex were best friends when I met them. It is messy, but all you need to really know is that this man and I have had a friends with benefits situation off and on, here and there, over the years. It was fine for both of us because this man is still in love with his ex and I am still in love with mine. We were kind of comforting each other, like, we can do this, but we know it isn't going anywhere. Mostly I was happy being single because I was having my needs met, and the only person I wanted to be in a relationship with was not an option for me. So I was genuinely happy being on my own. A few days ago, the friends with benefit 43-year-olds said he wants to try a relationship with me. Not because he loves me, but because we are both in our 40s now and he thinks that we are a good match. And if we actually try, we might be able to make a life together. To be honest, I don't want to be with him. He knows that I will always be in love with my ex, but he wants to try anyway. He says he doesn't want to be alone, but I don't have any issue being alone. And here is where I make a shameful confession. What did you do? Money has never been a factor in dating for me, but he is much more financially stable than me, and I am struggling to maintain my home on one income. It would benefit my life to have a partner to share the bills with, and I find myself asking the question, if I can't be with the man I love, does it even matter who I'm with or if I'm single? Should I accept the help this guy wants to give me, knowing my heart belongs to someone else, knowing his heart belongs to someone else? Can I really enter into this partnership that is not based on love, but on practical needs instead? I'm having a very hard time with this, and so I turn to Reddit and you for advice. What would you do if you were me? I mean, truthfully, I don't know if I would be in that situation because everyone's different. Like, if I'm in love with someone and I can't be with them and they won't be with me, I gotta cut all ties. Because the friends with benefits and the vacations and being best friend, that's not gonna work for me. I'm in love with you still. Like, I gotta heal from that. If I can't have you, like, why pretend? That'll hurt me more. So really, that would be my advice on the situation. With both of these guys, like, maybe just be on your own and heal. I don't think you should enter a relationship with someone to get your bills paid. As great as that may sound. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this. For sure. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.